So I'm a little late to the scene, yet I still feel the need to get my thoughts out there on the whole Stephen Christopher Yaxley-Lennon case. Yaxley-Lennon being better known by his alter ego, Tommy Robinson. I see no end to the hashtag free Tommy crap so many are spewed, and I just wanted to take it down for personal reasons I'll disclose shortly. But first, what's the whole free Tommy thing about anyway? Well, on the 25th of May, English Defence League founder and white nationalist Yaxley-Lennon was arrested for breach of peace and subsequently prosecuted for contempt of court. You see, Yaxley-Lennon was live streaming people entering the court on a particularly high-strung case involving child victims of grooming gangs made up predominantly of British Pakistanis, many of who are Muslims. Now, the Free Tommy side have framed what has happened as Yaxley-Lennon being arrested for his open criticism on the matter, and that all this is simply part of the ever-creeping tide of Islam engulfing our free speech. Back in reality, that's a lie which is revealed the moment you look at the case in question. Yaxley-Lennon was not arrested and charged for what he said, but what he did. Yaxley-Lennon knowingly and willingly put the entire trial alongside perhaps the only chance of any real justice for the victims, if the culprits are guilty, at risk of being thrown out. Yaxley-Lennon risked the defence using his live streaming on the events surrounding the court as grounds for prejudicing the jury and calling for a mistrial. You see, courts in the UK believe that the jury should base their verdict on the evidence presented in the controlled environment of the court, where both sides can evaluate and discuss all evidence, and the judge ensures this is done in the most objective manner possible. Leading questions, guilt by association, and pure conjecture are but a few of the things judges try to call out to guide the jury to the best possible understanding of the case. Sadly, these very rhetorical fallacies are the very bedrock of unscrupulous journalism, and due to the length of the cases, which often span days if not weeks, the courts cannot ensure that the jury will not have their decision prejudiced by said devices. So rather than attempt to figure out who can and who cannot report on the matter, the court issues a blanket ban on reporting when it comes to these very high-strung cases, typically until a verdict is reached, at which point it's fair game. Again, this is not about stifling free speech, but upholding fair trial. Post-verdict is a completely different matter. But we live in an age where from the moment you log into Facebook to check on your friends and family, you are bombarded with news stories like these, meaning that outside of imprisoning the jury, there's no real way to reduce the risk of prejudicing besides issuing a universal reporting ban. Now, Yaxley-Lennon knew this, a fact I can state for certainty since he was arrested last year for the exact same reason and had this entire thing explained to him before being set free on probation. He had relied on the pretense of ignorance the first time, so the judge made it absolutely sure that he couldn't do so again, stating, and I do quote, "There will be no conditions that need to be attached to the suspended sentence, but you should be under no illusions that if you commit any further offence of any kind, and that would include, I would have fought a further contempt of court by similar actions, then that sentence of 3 months would be activated, and that would be on top of anything else that you were given by any other court. In short, Mr. Yaxley-Lennon, turn up to another court and refer to people as Muslim paedophiles, Muslim rapists, and so on and so forth, while trials are ongoing and before there has been a finding by a jury that that is what they are, and you will find yourself inside. Do you understand? Thank you very much." End quote. So Yaxley-Lennon knew that by violating the reporting ban on this trial, he risked accusations of prejudicing the jury as part of a mistrial. In doing so, Yaxley-Lennon placed his own ego above what little justice these potential victims or these potential rapists could have hoped to receive. Now, I critiqued Muslim preacher Hamza Myatt from EDF Dawa for using these grooming gangs to proselytize, victim blame, and outright rape profit in lining his own pockets. But as disgusted as I was with Myatt's actions, at least they never put any of the court proceedings at risk, like Yaxley-Lennon. Yaxley-Lennon is a type of scum that goes beyond the likes of Hamza Myatt. The fact is, I never got any justice for being raped as a child. I likely never will. Now, there's nothing the court can do to make everything better for the victims of child rapists if it turns out that these victims are victims of child rape and that these are the people responsible. But they can at least ensure some justice comes from all of this. Now, there were grooming gangs, it's just a case of we don't know if these people are linked to them. The grooming gangs out there went unchallenged for decades, and there's been a lot of debate as to why in the media. But what's important to note here and now is the fact that some of these victims have been waiting years to see some sort of repercussion before the very people who raped them. And to think that now things are finally happening decades later, all of that was put at risk thanks to this white nationalist arsehole riding in from nowhere and knowingly breaking the law. It just makes my blood boil. But not nearly as much as all these people going around saying free Tommy. Yaxley-Lennon got a 13-month sentence for actions that could have potentially let child rapists walk free. Now he doesn't deserve 13 months. What he deserves is to rot in prison to let people know that if you want to parasitize off of a victim of rape and risk the one chance they have at some closure for your own damn ego, you don't deserve to live in a civilized society. All Yaxley-Lennon or Tommy or whatever the fuck he wants to call himself has done is turned every single person supporting him into another abuser of the victims of child rapists. Much like the rapist, they came in, took what they wanted for their own gain, and gave not a single thought to the impact this has on the victims seeking their justice. It's a disgrace and nothing more. Well done in doubling down in showing these victims just how little society actually cares about them. Do you feel like a fucking hero? Hi there. I'd just like to say a few things here at the end of the video before you go. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who's ever donated to the channel via Patreon, giving a special thanks to the following people: Hannah Banghart, Matthew Kovac, John Schoenrock, Daniel Martinez, and Alexander Williams. Your support has ensured this channel its ability to grow over the years. I'd also like to ask that you comment down below and like this video, as well as subscribe, hit the bell icon, and follow Essence of Thought on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please also consider following Atheist Alliance International on Facebook, a humanist organisation dedicated to helping atheists around the globe. Any comments utilising language which insults others on the basis of perceived gender, sexuality, ethnicity or ability both mental and physical will be removed immediately, and the commenter may be blocked on the moderator's discretion. Let's work to keep this space one which upholds the values of humanism. Thank you.